This bathroom looks cozy and clean, right? But just a week ago, it was a completely different story. Air tests showed mold spores and mycotoxins in this room. That's not a cosmetic issue. It's a real health concern. And as strange as it sounds, the first thing I do is remove the window screen in the hallway. Then I take painter's tape, seal the window frame, and cover it with plastic sheeting. I add reinforced tape on top. A small step, but it makes a big difference in safety. It looks solid. That's exactly what I need. Next, I bring in an air scrubber, a professional air filtration unit, and install a new HEPA filter. Now we seal the bathroom entrance. I stretch plastic over the door and tape it down. But how do we get inside without breaking the seal? Very simple. I use a zip wall with a zipper door, a clean cut for the zipper, press it down, and now the plastic works like a flexible doorway. It opens, closes, and still keeps containment tight. Nothing escapes. But there's another issue. This bathroom has a second door leading to the bedroom. Even a tiny gap could let spores or mycotoxins get into carpets, clothes, or the mattress. So I tape every inch of the frame, every gap. Now the bedroom is isolated and the work zone becomes almost like a lab. I also seal the bathroom vent because the HVAC system could spread spores throughout the house. Now comes the strange part. I cut a round hole in the window. It might look odd right now, but it will make sense. I secure the edges with more tape and insert a flexible plastic duct. Lay flat tubing. One end vents outside and the other connects to the air scrubber. This setup forces air out of the building. That creates what we call negative pressure. When the pressure inside is lower than outside, spores can't escape into the home. Instead, all airflow moves into the containment area. The contaminated air stays inside, gets trapped in the filter, and we can safely work without spreading mold through the house. Never work without a mask. Ideally, use a full-face respirator, but protection doesn't end there. You must also wear a protective suit. If you see a contractor working without a suit, remember this. When they walk out of the containment area, their clothing will carry mycotoxins, and they will spread them throughout your home. That's why all work is performed inside containment and only in protective gear. When leaving the containment, the suit must stay inside and never be taken out. Hands must always be protected with gloves. Here you can clearly see how negative pressure works. The plastic is pulled inward, which means the airflow is directed into the containment, not out of it. Here's the mold. Water was getting under the tile. This created ideal conditions for mold growth. Moisture didn't evaporate, materials under the tile stayed wet and became a food source. The tile covered the problem, so the mold developed unnoticed. Mold does not feed on insulation itself. Fiberglass isn't food for it, but insulation traps dust and moisture, and mold likes both. As a result, the fungus grows not inside the insulation, but on everything that is stuck to its surface. That's why old or especially damp insulation is always removed and replaced. All debris from the containment must be packed in heavy-duty bags and sealed tightly with tape. You can't put a bathtub in a bag, so before removing it from the containment, I thoroughly wipe it down and treat its surface with solutions. We removed everything that could be taken out and reached the wooden structure. It doesn't look too bad, but mold is present. Anything that cannot be physically removed must be cleaned properly. Removing the old bathtub was the right choice. Underneath it, we found dust, debris, old insulation, and hidden mold spots. All of this must be removed. I treat all suspicious surfaces with a solution, always wearing a respirator and with ventilation on. Then I use a metal brush and scrub the wood thoroughly. The process is long, but precision is crucial. Areas with deeper damage are removed using a multi-tool. The result already looks much better, but this is only half of the job. After cleaning, a lot of dust mixed with mold remains. It must be removed. I use a HEPA vacuum. It's also time to replace the filter in the air scrubber. It has turned brown. The filter must be placed into a trash bag inside the containment without taking it outside first. The same rule applies to the protective suit. It must be replaced and left inside. I now thoroughly vacuum everything using HEPA equipment. If this dust isn't collected immediately, the particles mixed with mycotoxins will spread, settle on surfaces, and can migrate into living areas. A HEPA vacuum captures mold spores and microparticles and traps them inside the filter, preventing recontamination and keeping the home safe for the occupants. After cleaning all debris, I found another mold spot on the floor, directly under the bathtub. It is small now, but over time it could grow much larger. I treat it again with solution, scrub it with a metal brush, vacuum it a second time, and additionally saturate it with solution. But this is still not the end. Mycotoxins remain in the air. To remove them, a fine mist is created. I use a specialized solution that binds microscopic mycotoxins. They settle on surfaces, and part of them is captured by the air scrubber. At this stage, I turn off the negative pressure and leave only HEPA filtration running. Next, I wipe every surface, walls and ceiling with a mop, and all remaining areas with microfiber cloths. This removes the remaining microparticles and leftover mycotoxins. Before taking tools out of the containment, they must also be cleaned. And finally, I apply a protective coating to the wood. The job is considered complete only after acceptable post-remediation air test results are received.